I'm going to quickly say, what is Lent? You know, nobody really knows what it is. Well, the word itself comes from Old English Lente, which means spring. Lent is 40 days, and what it celebrates is when Jesus Christ went into the wilderness 40 days before coming back and becoming arrested, and then leading on to his crucifixion. And it didn't originally mean necessarily giving something up, but slowly as the church evolved and developed laws, there's nowhere in the Bible or the New Testament that it was meant to be this, but it became a tradition to give something up. There's no meat, no fish, no eggs, no dairy, and no oil. So it's very, very restrictive. Now in Catholicism, it's 40 days because you get every Sunday off, and it's a little less strict. You can, and I cheated tonight, I will tell you that from the get-go. I got about halfway through, and then a bottle of oil came out, so. It's really very vegan, so it's kind of a chance to do 40 or 50 days of vegan. Not to disparage anybody's belief or anybody's faith, this is from an anthropological point of view. What was happening was a lot of, obviously, Rome had conquered the people and were suppressing them, they were taking heavy taxes. There were about, according to records, several hundred prophets operating at the same time. And they tend to arise around the world, prophets do, and new religions do, when there's terrible stress on people. They're called revitalization movements. And Christianity started out very much like a cargo cult, or like another rise of many of these kind of religious movements. The Romans were very tolerant of religion difference, and because they had conquered so many different kinds of people, their attitude was, you can be anything you want as long as you don't cause us any trouble. But Jesus caused trouble, and before he went into the woods, he was gathering great crowds and a lot of followers. He was disobeying, he was calling out and rabble-rousing on the steps of temples and things like that. And he must have known that he was nearing arrest when he went off for 40 days into the wilderness. And when he came back, he was promptly arrested, and you get the process on into the Palm Sunday and Easter and the crucifixion. Now, why did this religion catch on when others didn't? We don't know exactly the answer to that. Perhaps, you know, if those of you of faith have your answers for that. I will tell you some of the reasons that, from an anthropological point of view, and that is people up until, say, starting around 300 CE, which is now what we call AD, meaning the Common Era, and the Byzantine Empire, and then spreading a little later on up into Europe, people used to be able to move, and whenever their fields wore out, they could move on to another field. Now the population had gotten to the point where they couldn't do that anymore, and so people could not keep moving to a new territory when things got stressful. And at the same time, agriculture was proving very, very productive, and so what happened is there developed a class system, and there were kings and lords and people who owned and got the wealth, and the lower class was stuck. They couldn't move. They had to toil the soil, they couldn't find some new place to go, And this religion was extremely appealing because it tells you that there's a reward in another life. And it caught on fantastically, as you know, and has spread about the world, and partly from the fact that it appealed to people because if they were stuck in one position, low class, peasant, slave even, in this life, there was going to be another life in which they could do better. So again, not to disparage anybody's faith, but that's part of the history of why this religion became more than a revitalization movement, became a worldwide religion. So we don't know why Lent got started and why particularly all the restrictions got into it, but as the canon of the churches developed, Lent, giving something up, and I've outlined what you give up, started. So